Another edition of the Dugout. Welcome, folks. We will try and get an update either from Barbados or from Miami.
Wherever.
Miami
now.
Miami.
Now we know.
Yes, now we know because Nikhil will soon be traveling to Barbados for the first Super 8 game between India and Afghanistan. But this week has been really tough. Firstly, because for the Indian team,
Acha.
For cricket fans as a whole.
cricket fans as a whole.
For us?
Oh yeah.
Also because see, after 12th when you had that game versus USA, you haven't played anything and you're heading into the leg at Barbados with an 8-day break right in the middle of a T20 World Cup. Now that is why this is the topic of discussion that we are having. Is the 7-day break that you're having because of this farce of an abandonment that happened at Fort Lauderdale, are India underprepared heading into the Super 8 stage of the T20 World Cup? That is a topic that all of us are going to talk about it, and we'll get some inputs from Miami also from Nikhil, assuming, because he has got a flight to catch, and also it takes 4 hours from Miami to Barbados, so that's why let's hope for the best. But then see, we have already discussed it. You have done a video on why, and even Nikhil also highlighted the mood of the fans yesterday from Lauderhill. Like, they are incredibly angry with what has happened. You are using all those industrial blowers, you are using all the thing, but you have not been able to dry the outfield.
By the way, one of those industrial blowers apparently ran out of fuel.
Wow. And okay, let's confirm. It is America, right, we're talking about?
Yeah, America running out of fuel. Make your own jokes about that.
Please, let's not get into that because see, it ran out of fuel. Okay, so that...
by the way, and this claim I have to add came from Navjot Singh Sidhu. So take it with a grain of salt.
Or maybe heaps of it.
Yeah.
Lots of it, yeah.
But it's a claim that a lot of people have, obviously a lot of news outlets have reported on, because Sidhu said very clearly that, listen boss, that thing ran out of petrol. It conked out because it ran out of petrol. So,
My God.
I mean, considering he was right there on the ground.
Okay, like they say, बड़े-बड़े शहरों में छोटी-छोटी बातें हैं.
Yeah.
I know.
Absolutely.
And anyway, America in the past has run into energy crisis, so it's nothing new at this point. 70s, they had a big energy crisis, that's why.
Yeah.
But okay.
Not so much in the 2000s.
Yeah, not so much so. Let's not get started in that, please. Please.
First world, what first world? These are just issues that keep happening in every nation that you host cricket in.
Okay, so at this point, this abandonment now combined with the fact that Vikram Rathore has said that okay,
so what is it that Vikram Rathore said? Can you quickly enlighten us, or one of you guys?
Yeah, I will do that because I had done the thing. Vikram Rathore had stated that we needed this game to happen versus Canada because it was a clear-cut admission on our part that the batting is low on confidence. The batting is incredibly low on confidence because of what's happened in New York. You look at the strike rate, you look at the average. Virat Kohli just had 5 runs in the entire New York leg first. Secondly, you look at it, strike rates are an issue. The pitch was abominable in New York. Although the dismissals of our top 2 batters had nothing to do with the pitch.
Yeah, but generally speaking, I think one of the reasons you could still be critical of the pitch is because we saw stroke making was impossible. And I'm not even saying it was like difficult. A difficult pitch will see you bat at a strike rate of 120, 130.
Yes.
Or not 130, at least 120. You were batting at strike rates of just about over 100. Just over 100.
What really I think happened in Florida, the washout, I would say, it did make sure that India couldn't really cash in on the 3 opportunities, the same video that I had done on, that they could for the Canada game. One was obviously, there was no opportunity for Virat Kohli to get back into form, and then Rohit Sharma to achieve that consistency. And in second case, it was about having Kuldeep Yadav as a, or trying Kuldeep Yadav just before the Super 8 stage, because the way, the Caribbean pitches are behaving, low and slow, offering a lot of turns, something that we have seen from Adam Zampa and Adil Rashid. I think Kuldeep should have, gotten a game so that, he could have been more ready for the all-important Super 8 stage. And third, I think a point which is something we have discussed a lot about is how much of a role Shivam Dube can be given as a bowler.
Now the Kuldeep part I think is a little bit interesting if you're thinking about it. Why? Because Lauderhill, and this is according to even what Vikram Rathore said, we were expecting the best batting over there.
Yes.
Now, why I said that would have been a great place to play Kuldeep, because Kuldeep is one of those bowlers more often than not will negate conditions. He doesn't really rely on the conditions to produce the wizardry that he does, and is someone who on a flatter track as well, where the pitch is offering you nothing, through guile, skill and variations will end up getting you wickets, and as Siddharth rightly pointed out, would also have, let's say, given him some rhythm. Not saying that he's there's nothing about getting, let's say, him prepared. He's fully well prepared. He's had a long IPL season. He's played a lot of games. Before that also was coming off a test series where he was bowling an awful lot. So it's not as if he's lacking, let's say, preparation, but a little bit of rhythm here or there. And as for the other thing, the Dubey conundrum is something that I think you would have had a lot more clarity on if you actually managed to play here. Why?
Exactly.
Because Lauderhill would have been one of those venues which were a little bit on the neutral side. Now I know that the New York pitch, as a lot of people point out, was very spicy. But I think you needed to be a certain type of pacer to exploit it. And Shivam Dubey is not that type of pacer. If he's the kind of pacer who would actually incidentally do well in the windies kind of conditions, where it'll stay slow, the bounce will be a little on the lower side, and he can use his off cutters and back of the hand leg cut variations. Those kind of things would be very useful for him over there. On these kind of conditions though, and maybe that's why I said it couldn't have been the worst thing in the world if he played even in Lauderhill, because even there, on pitches which are a little on the truer side, variation bowlers can't really go wrong, right? So we didn't get to see any of that. That's the unfortunate thing. And now you are potentially going into a situation wherein you'll have to stick with the same conditions, even though there are question marks over both Shivam Dubey's batting. Let's ignore that knock against New York, and his bowling. Fielding, less said the better, because there's always been question marks over it.
Knock in New York versus USA.
I know, Shane's also, because of the way, only 3 teams, if you look at the entire Super 8 teams that are there, only 3 teams have played in the US. India have entirely played there, USA have entirely played there, South Africa have played a couple. And also Bangladesh.
2 I think they played.
Pakistan aren't in the Super 8.
Bangladesh, if they join, they'll be the 4th team. So out of it, West Indies have played entirely in the Windies, England have played entirely in the Windies, so have Australia, so have Afghanistan. So that is why, heading into this, teams have got the better of the conditions. 5 out of the 3 teams so far. 4 out of the teams have gotten it so far.
And I think our India, with this, let's say in hindsight, I hope there doesn't come a time that you need to be looking at excuses and all. But could this be something that India might say that, listen, we were hard done by, we didn't get enough time to acclimatize, the other teams did get the time?
No. It'll be a very loser excuse if they are to throw that up, because again, and I know a lot of people
you know why I'm saying this? Because we've cited something similar where we've come up with the proposition of having 3 finals.
Don't remind me of that, the WTC. But I'll tell you why it doesn't make any sense here, or why it cuts no ice with me. I remember having a similar worry when, in the IPL, KKR's last 2 games were washed out. You didn't get a game against GT, you didn't get a game against RR, and then you're entering the playoffs and you're like, okay, sure, you're the top place team, but momentum is not there.
You had played for 10 days or something, I remember.
That's the thing. And similar gap India will be facing, but they knew, they trusted in their, in what they'd been doing up until that point, and said, listen, no problem if we didn't have match practice, let's look at the bright side. We got a bit of rest, because actually towards the latter part, the fag end of the tournament, they had a lot of games. There was fixture pile up. So they said, no problem. We'll take that and just go into the games. We can't control the rain. We can control how it is we play on the days. What did they do? End up winning the tournament. At that point, a lot of people were also saying that, SRH are favourite, they've been playing consecutive games. Doesn't really work that way.
Because remember the logic that was cited then, you had 2 teams, in the top 4 that had contrasting sort of run-ins.
Correct.
One hadn't played for 10 matches, the other was on a 6-game unbeaten run, remember? And experts were divided. One wasn't having game time, the other was on a roll. So that's why RCB were given the edge in the eliminator that they faced. Rather, no, the second qualifier that they played. Eliminator. And when the first qualifier was taking place, there were experts who were divided that KKR don't have game time. That's another matter, that they were up against a team that was also having its own problems. But then that is something that went against KKR. it's good on them that they stepped up, and that's what good teams do.
And that is what India will need to do. You can't use that as an excuse saying, boss, oh, we didn't get to play one game in good conditions, so we can't acclimatize. You've spent 2 months playing in the most pristine of conditions.
I remember, it's something that's happened in the last couple of years now. So much T20 cricket has been played that a few times in test matches, including the WTC final, might I add, there's been that theory that's been floated that hard hands, players are playing with hard hands because they just played a lot of T20, and now you see it's going to be conditions from a time where you've really found it hard to get bat to ball, going into conditions where it's going to be spinning a lot, going into conditions which could be equally slower but not unpredictable though. You're mentally attuned at the moment that the ball's not only going to be slow but it's going to be unpredictable. It's going to shoot up, it's going to stay low, and it puts your head in a space of uncertainty, which is not good, to be fair to the batters. But whatever it is, you now need to put all of that aside, recalibrate, retune, reassess, and perform now.
See, you are basically going to have 3 lottery pitches looking at it. Because see, looking at the group stage trends, Barbados has produced only 200 plus wicket. But they have also produced wickets which have let only 109, 120 also. Vivian Richards ground in Antigua, it produced the game against the Namibia-England game. It was actually a high-scoring game. You look at 122 plus 92 in 20 overs, gave you about 214 runs. It was a flat deck if you look at it.
Despite the early seam movement, the invariant bounce and all.
So that.
I think
St. Lucia has been consistent if you have to look at it. The game between Scotland and Australia, 180 plus was chased.
Yes.
Plus, there were also 150 plus totals on a regular basis in St. Lucia.
Yes, St. Lucia probably looks like the best of the stadiums right now.
Correct.
And in terms of consistency.
Yes. But you go to Tarouba, Brian Lara Stadium, you go to Guyana.
Not sound.
The problem there is you don't have high scoring grounds. Guyana in particular, it's been woeful.
Guyana, if you look at, and they haven't played T20s there in years. Because I think the last T20 I was played in like 21 or something.
No, I think you played a game in 2023.
You did. India played a long time back, and I think the venue in totality has hosted about 10-12 matches, not a lot.
And all of them, if you're looking at the average scores, are in the 120-130 range. So that tells you everything you need to know.
So you're going to play with a lottery kind of a system in the Super 8s. Okay?
But as a team combination, I don't think India would mind this 8-day break. See, usually throughout 365 days a year, how many times it comes that India getting an elongated break, which is, I would say, more than a week or a 2 week, because somewhere down the line any of our teams is playing. So whether it's an A team or a B team, you're actually playing bilateral cricket almost I think 300 days a year, if I'm not wrong. And if you look at it from that perspective, from an individual perspective, I think India would have liked Kohli getting some runs, Rohit Sharma achieving some consistency, Kuldeep Yadav getting a game, probably Yuzvendra Chahal getting a game, or maybe trying Dubey more as a bowler here. So from, I think, ticking boxes, I think India have done really well in the 3 wins that they have achieved. But yeah, they would have love to tick a more check boxes before the Super 8 stage, which they unfortunately
I look at it this way: while India ended up as the group toppers, but was this a dream run? And the answer is no.
No.
Would they wanted to achieve more? The answer is yes. Do they have time now left? Unfortunately,
no. You only got 4 days. And again, if you want to go back to precedents, 2010, what happened? They did well in the group stages, beat South Africa and Afghanistan in St. Lucia. But then when they moved to Barbados, and remember, they hadn't even played in the US at that point in time. It was just one island to another island. Yes. So what happened in St. Lucia, form, momentum, everything, it doesn't hold true for Barbados. It doesn't hold true for Antigua. It doesn't hold true for St. Lucia.
While we sit here and analyze what could have been, what should have been, etc., etc., the cricket fans out there, you trust them to dig out something which is optimistic for the Indian team. They pulled out something that I did go ahead and cross-check. That's the last time that India had a game washed out in the T20 World Cup. You end up winning the World Cup.
Yeah,
it happened against Scotland.
It happened against Scotland, yes.
And you had that game.
There is one more. I mean, there is one more. The last time there was a player from Kerala, India won the T20 World Cup.
And ODI World Cup.
And ODI World Cup, yep. And you got Sanju Samson.
Srishant.
That was Srishant.
for both World Cups.
So that is why all the things are coming in. But as I've said, the law of averages, it can catch up to you, boss. It's not necessary that the same thing will work in 2007, but it will work in 2024.
If the law of averages to catch up, then you might as well just win because
Law of averages catching up would mean India winning.
India winning. Yeah.
Okay, see, the law of averages states you have to win consistently in Barbados also. For 71 years, you won only 2 games there. 7 tests you lost out of 9, 2 draws. You lost 2 out of the 5 ODIs there. You've lost 3 out of the 5 ODIs. And in the T20Is, you've not won a single T20I there in Barbados. So Barbados is your ultimate bogey win. This is true. You're heading there against Afghanistan. We don't know what kind of a lottery wicket you're going to get there because you got Rashid, you got Noor, you got Fazalak Farooqi, you got Azmatullah Omarzai, Naveen ul Haq. All of them are in decentish form. Fazalak Farooqi, in fact, is a leading wicket taker.
Fazalak Farooqi
12 wickets.
Is bowling like a Wasim Akram right now.
Yeah, will he get one to go away from that angle and one to come in? Because Rohit Sharma again, left armers, he struggled. Okay, he got out to Amir, if I'm not mistaken, or Shaheen in that New York game.
Shaheen.
And then he got out to Netrawalkar.
Yes.
Okay.
There's 2 left-handers in 3 games.
Yep.
Yes.
Kohli also, the pitch.
Netrawalkar, Naseem and
I think you fell to Adair, if I'm not mistaken, Mark Adair.
But it wasn't Josh Little.
It wasn't Joshua.
It wasn't Joshua Little.
Yeah.
No. It's not. So I think we are joined by Nikhil. Pawan gives us this update.
Yes.
Hi Nikhil, can you hear us?
Wait. So we are joined by Nikhil, who is on his way to Barbados at this point. And Nikhil, can you hear us?
I can. Did I hear Barbados?
Well, you are on your way, right, to Barbados?
Yes, on my way to Barbados. Yes, I'm still in Miami.
Yep.
Or rather, Port Lauderdale, which is 20 minutes away from Lauderhill, which is 1 hour away from Miami. Exact location. But yeah, we're going to be heading into Barbados. We have a flight in 2 hours from now. It's an international flight, so we want to be there 3 hours in advance. And Miami it's holiday season, pretty busy. We went out and checked out Miami yesterday for the first time because we're about an hour away from Miami actually, Fort Lauderdale. So check that out. So yeah, pretty busy season at the moment. So 3 hours before the flight, it's an international flight that we'd be taking after taking a few internal flights because we were in the US. So this marks the end of our US leg.
Yep.
The last game done, and we're now heading to the Caribbean for the next and more important leg. Yesterday, though, I was busy while traveling to Miami, busy looking at that game, Australia-Scotland, and I did meet a few Indian fans. All of them were glued to that. I mean, not that it had anything to do with the India chances, because of what was said by Hazelwood and how the match was panning out. I mean, there was a lot of interest with regards to that. I don't know what you guys made of it while the game was happening, but pretty much the folks that I was watching the game with, there were 5-6 of us, and everyone thought, "Whoa, this is blatant. This isn't looking good." Where do you see Travis Head batting at a strike rate of 115, 120? We've not lost wickets. Required run rate is piling up. If you were losing wickets continuously and the required run rate was going up, you could understand. They weren't losing wickets. Required run rate had gone over 12. If it wasn't for that cameo by Stoinis and Tim David at the end, oof, you would have had England out. But what a game.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game. And for one moment, we were confused whether it was Scotland-Australia or was it Scotland-Pakistan. Because of the catches that Australia were dropping,
they dropped
6
catches.
Yeah.
And not just that, they were bottling what should have been an easy chase.
Yes. And it's the most ever that Australia has dropped in their history of
I read
T20
somewhere
World
that
Cups.
it's I think a record that the most number of catches dropped in a match in T20 World Cup history.
Yeah, so that is why we all felt whether it was Pakistan Scotland or was it Australia Scotland. But yeah, 180 plus was chased.
You guys get a feeling? I mean, that they were trying to bottle it up on purpose, as was said by Hazelwood, because dropping of catches, not sticking to the required run rate, batting rather slowly, gingerly.
Yep.
I mean, to be fair, the thought did enter my mind. Not to say that they were actually trying to do it, but I'm like, when do you see an Australia team dropping catches?
Six catches.
Six of them.
This easily, and I'm like, no
A
way.
couple of them
They're
were
not
very
putting-
tough chances.
A couple were tough chances, but 2 out of 6 means you still dropped 4
There
good
were a
chances.
couple of them that were regulation catches as well.
See, but
Yes.
Mitchell Marsh dropped a regulation catch of Virat Kohli in Chennai. So it can happen to them.
And don't forget, they've also got that bastion of great fielding in Tim David in the team.
Oh yes. See, for Australia, there is a precedent that they had deliberately tried to play slow about 25 years ago to knock New Zealand out in the World Cup. Because had New Zealand and Pakistan gone through, they would have been with 0 points. So they tried their damnedest to ensure in the Super 6 stage that West Indies go through, New Zealand go out. But that didn't happen. So yes, Hazelwood, dry humor and sarcasm, all that was brushed under the carpet. Even Mitchell Starc was asked that question.
Yeah.
Even Pat Cummins was asked that question before the Scotland game.
Yeah.
He's just making a joke or something like that.
Well, but England.
Don't say it.
Exactly. Knowing how touchy the audiences are, that is the way it should be. Yeah?
I mean, see, I understand dry humor, but then maybe make it clear. He went on a full-on diatribe about, we were thinking about it. So he clearly elongated the joke.
Yeah.
And after a point,
He was trying to rationalize it actually.
Exactly.
I think that was a no ball that Hazelwood bowled, unfortunately.
Overstepped.
So, he overstepped. He overstepped by a big margin there. So, yeah, we did get that impression, but it was a good game.
I'm coming to you live, as you know, from Miami. It's been 3 days that I've been here. I did not see a single game. I just wanted to let all of you in on an irony that the 2 most crucial, important games that would take place here did not happen. And the most inconsequential game that is to take place today is happening on time. And the game is starting. The toss has happened.
Yeah, toss is on time.
I know.
Yeah, but then, Nikhil, we saw that, has it rained in your area?
No, it hasn't.
Because we saw wet roads and wet patches there. So that's why we were wondering. Rain shadow area there in Lauderhill and Lauderdale at this point.
No, there was a slight bit of rain last night. That's all. But since morning, if I could show you, wait, let me see if I can show you guys. Wait, let me show you the roads, and then you'll have an idea what I'm talking about. Once you look at the roads, they're completely bone dry. Can you see them?
Yeah.
So absolutely bone dry. There's not a bit of water there, so it's been completely dry for the last 12 hours or so. So no, it's if it was raining earlier, I mean in the night, but as I said, it was a slight drizzle, so it did not cause any issue as such. No.
Nikhil, a question not from me though, but from my father, since he happens to be in the same city as you are. He was asking if you got any match tickets. Yes, he landed a couple of hours back.
Oh, no match tickets, but if he goes to the ground, it'll be rather easy. I don't think too many people are going to turn up. You'll easily get a ticket on the ground. Easy.
I see.
Rather easy. It'll be like not even 10% full. I don't think any Pakistani fans are going to turn up. Even if they do turn up, they're only going to turn up to troll their team. I don't think anyone.
Will they be turning up with red chairs by any chance?
Yeah, they're going to be turning up. Yeah, with
Heated.
yeah, more than chairs. I mean, security is rather tight. Otherwise, they could have even entered with some cricket bats and wickets. Security is
I know.
very, very tight.
Canada was lax in that sense.
Yeah, I was speaking to a few Pakistani journalists yesterday, and they had all planned, to go to Barbados and I mean the next leg of the tournament, and a lot of them are going back now. A lot of them are now saying, okay, we'll continue because on YouTube a lot of them have following from India, so they're like, okay, now we'll cover Indian cricket and Indian team because they also cater to a large Indian viewership. I'm talking about some of the journalists and YouTubers, speaking to them. But yeah, mighty disappointed that their team is out. And I was telling them, it was quite a similar situation. I remember last T20 World Cup when we were in Australia, India got knocked out in the semi-final, and we were almost going to come back to India after India got knocked out, and then I got a call from our boss, and he said, okay, now you're there, might as well go cover the final. There was some interest because the Pakistan team is there, and so there is some amount of interest in India. So we traveled to Melbourne, and the show's on the other floor. Exactly the same situation, but it's happening the other way around now.
Yeah, I mean, we were just seeing in 2022 what was the situation. Pakistan for the first time ever have been knocked out this early.
Yes.
And again, from 2007 till 2022, the law of averages didn't catch up with them. Kudrat ka Nizam was very meherban on them. But now, unfortunately, it's caught up. And it's caught up to them in a brutal way. And should you feel sorry for Pakistan and especially for the fans, for the cricket?
See, I mean, for the fans, you'll always feel a little bad. But based on how things went as far as an administration purpose, the way things were run, the way you just randomly chopped and changed plans. I mean, we criticized the Indian team for, the way they changed and rechanged their captains. Pakistan were like, hold my beverage. Because they did it in a next level brutal way. Then their T20 and ODI captain in waiting got one series before he got sacked.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think he didn't captain ODI.
And even
He didn't captain in ODI, just one T20 series.
And even their own player, Imad Wasim, has gone on to state that, that there is fear of failure in the players, that they are very much afraid to play their shots or take those necessary risks that are required in T20 cricket. And they have moved back in T20 cricket.
He called it a new low, right? Or the lowest point?
Yeah, it's the lowest point in Pakistan cricket, and they cannot go any low from this.
Wait, all this thing, the fear of failure and everything, are you talking about Pakistan or India?
Yeah, it felt like the same.
It felt the same. Maybe divided by borders, but united by the same thing.
Yes.
Because, I mean, the fear of failure bit.
The only difference is that I agree that while they're talking about fear of failure for both teams, I think the only difference is that why does the fear of failure happen with the Indian team? I think it's primarily because of the expectations that the fans have from the team, and the team themselves know that anything less than a cup is not going to do, right? So the fear of failure comes there, that, we have to win the trophy. Today is a do or die game or a knockout game. If we lose this, we're going to miss on to the trophy. So that pressure creates that fear of failure. For Pakistan, it's the other way around. For Pakistan, it's not so much win the trophy that creates the pressure. It's actually the pressure that is created internally by their management. I mean, they keep changing captains and players based on who the PCB chairman is, and that changes more often than, I don't know. If you look at whoever is the chairman comes in, he has his own captain, he has his own employees that he wants to have in the administrative setup. He puts his captain, the captain then wants to have his own players. And even if it's the captain of your choice, even there they are forced to make too many changes because one loss here and there, they'll make a lot of changes. That doesn't happen with India. If you see, India that way are very consistent with the players that they go for. And they do sometimes get criticism that you're not allowing another youngster to come in. But I think that's a far better approach than Pakistan, where they make also changes. So I think the fear of failure comes in there, that for Pakistan, if I don't perform 2-3 games, I'm out, somebody else is going to come, or if I'm not out, my batting position will change, and so on and so forth. So that, I think, is one reason. The second bit about Pakistan cricket, I think, where they stand, is that where is their field strength? So, like in India, we're spoiled for choices. We argue about, this guy could have come, Gill could have come in, Rintu could have come in, Avish could have come in, right? For everyone, and this is an interesting bit, for every player, there are 2 or 3 backup options which are as good, if not better, than the ones that are playing. In Pakistan's case, I was talking to a few journalists. Do they have backups? No. So everyone, you speak to anyone there, and if you ask them to pick the 15, they're saying that even I would have picked the same 15. Because there aren't too many options. Maybe 1 or 2 here and there, they would have picked up a couple of youngsters who've done in PSL, they'd bring it, but that's about it. So the problem runs deeper in Pakistan, because of the financial situation of the country, and that kind of reflects on your sport as well. There aren't too many players coming in. I mean, can you imagine a team like Pakistan who hardly bowls, many would consider him as a batting all-rounder. Same for Shadab. I mean, he's more of a batting all-rounder too. Sometimes doesn't get to bowl at all, even when he bowls. hardly picks up any wickets. Now, this is a country that is produced from Abdul Qadir to Saqlain Mushtaq to Saeed Ajmal.
Mushtaq Ahmed.
In fact, one point, their batters were so good with their spin that they could make the team just as spinners in Shahid Afridi, in Shahid Afridi, in Shoaib Malik, in Mohammad Hafiz. If you remember, go back, all of these.
You want to talk about Ajmal?
So look where they've come. They're barely playing with any spinners. I think the only strong point that they have is their fast bowling, which will work on certain days, will not work on certain days. The day it doesn't work, you start criticizing. But I still think they've got one of the, if not the best, at least in the top 3 fast bowling attacks in the world. That's all that they have. The batting, I mean, you keep talking about the cover drives of Babar and all of that, but you clearly see with Babar, he's not matured enough to take the team through in crucial situations like a Virat does. I think you even see that maturity from a Pant on occasion, even Hardik steps up on occasion. There's Rohit Sharma, of course, on the top. Even Shubman Gill and the like show you that kind of maturity. That's really missing from even a Babar Rizwan. I think, Fakhar, very inconsistent. Iftikhar, very, very inconsistent. Shadab, again, very, very inconsistent with the bat. With that sort of a batting lineup, I mean, Imad came and froze, and it was good of Imad to come and apologize, saying that, listen, I'm sorry. Would I blame him? I know that was a turning point, that over that he played against Akshar Patel. He spoke about it. But even in his case, if you are going to be in and out of the team, how is it that you're going to perform at the top level? You're always going to freeze. So I think their problem runs very deep. I know we're right now looking at a macro level that they should have beaten USA. They could have won against India from a winning position. They haven't because, quite frankly, we look at them based on reputation, but there has been a consistent deterioration in the quality of cricket and the quality of cricket they are playing and the quality of cricketers they are producing at the moment.
Yeah, I think the fear of losing out, their places in the Pakistan team is something that I've been hearing for, I think, the past maybe 10 years or so. I think it started way back in 2015 during that World Cup in Australia in the trans-Tasman conditions, that why Misbah, was playing just in a specific way that he used to. He is not able to accelerate. Same was probably said about the likes of Shoaib Maqsood, Omar Akmal. Then came the 2017 Champions Trophy, wherein there were, I think, 2 or 3 match winners almost in almost all of the games that Pakistan won. Then 2019 World Cup was once again the case of inconsistency, players not really stepping up, just sticking to a single template and maybe playing for their places only. 2021 was the T20 World Cup, wherein yes, there were multiple contributions. 2022 can probably be said that it was more of a Kudrat ka nizam, wherein they did manage to reach the final. But then this is one thing that has, I think, plagued the Pakistan team for a long time, and that's where I think it's all led to what has happened in the 2024 T20 World Cup now. And I think that's where almost everyone, there are loud noises that there should be a wholesale changes. The coaches should remain, but the team has to be changed.
In fact, you can argue that it started even in 2023, right? Disappointing in the ODI World Cup, to say the least.
Yeah, even that.
In fact, that did trigger a big change when Babar quit. But then that was more a case of, I'll resign, you can't fire me, I quit.
Yeah.
So I'll quit rather than
in
be
all
fired.
of this, by the way, we forgot to mention about the chief selector also being changed a couple of times.
Yeah.
So with every changing regime, chief selector again, there have been players who've had problems with the chief selector. Then there have been accusations of a certain chief selector having played with a couple of these players towards the back end of his career. So all of these things have also continued to happen and plagued Pakistan cricket.
Hold my beverage. It's been there ever since 1990 for Pakistan.
Yeah.
The open door, revolving door thing, lack of harmony and all that, it's been there since the 90s. Even in Pakistan, where peak Pakistan, it always used to happen. It's a very Pakistan trait if you look at it. Where the team does well despite all the disharmony and all the administrative malaise that's there. But still, they do well. This time it's been too much. The distractions have been way too much. Team harmony is gone because Babar suddenly parachuted himself as the captain, and also the PCB aided in that parachuting.
Yeah.
That is why. So that's why.
Two ICC tournaments, 2 back-to-back big failures, in fact, for them now, you see.
I mean,
and now the next one, they'll be hosts.
They'll be hosts and that's.
Well, in part they definitely will be, that.
Yeah, they will be. But Nikhil, we are coming back to the question of India. I mean, now from 12th till the 19th, you are not played anything. I mean, the washout, Vikram Rathod also stated that yes, we wanted a game because we are going to get the best batting conditions, but it was very disappointing. Do you think there is a bit of a thing that, okay, heading into Barbados, we are underprepared, or do you think the Indian cricket team can easily overcome that?
No, I wouldn't go so far as to say underprepared. I'll tell you why. I mean, yeah, you would have wanted a game here, which was slightly better pitch than the one that you got in New York, but still not ideal conditions. You still won't have gotten the kind of conditions that you witnessed in St. Lucia yesterday, right? Those are the pitches that India would really want to bat on. But I think that, if you ask me personally, I think Indian players are okay with this kind of break. Remember, what was all the talk about getting into this tournament? That you had a very hectic schedule, you're playing IPL and you just got like 2 days after the IPL to just come and then, start playing this tournament, and will you be able to then have that kind of intensity? And in a way, I think it's worked in favor of India that you've had, firstly, gaps between your initial games, and then that gap has only increased after one other game got washed out. So I think that's fine. They reached Barbados today, or they may have already reached Barbados. They have a few more days before that game because there is a hectic schedule coming up after that. Then it's just non-stop. Even if you were to make the final, at best you'll get 1 day in the middle, at best 2 days, and that too only semi-final. So that's a very hectic schedule coming up. So I don't think this will work to the disadvantage of the Indian team. Also in terms of rhythm, they play so much cricket now. I don't think that will be an issue. The form could be the form, which is why it's always good to have some runs under your belt. But I don't think the lack of game time is going to be an issue. Maybe a few runs in the initial game would have been okay. But then luckily for them, the other thing that's kind of worked out in their favor, and I'm not in any way taking Pakistan and Bangladesh lightly, but what is kind of worked out in their favor that they will not be that much pressure on the Indian team had that scenario been that you're playing New Zealand and Sri Lanka, which having been previous World Cup winners could in Sri Lanka's case, they could be more dangerous. New Zealand, always tends to upset India. I shouldn't even be using the word upset. Always tends to beat India, in ICC tournament. So I think that's something that will give the Indian team a relief and also allow them that chance to get some run under their belt just for a few batters that happen. But overall, I think they're not going to be changing much. Just relaxing a bit. Most of them are here with their families and have had some time off working in Florida, and will have a few days off in Barbados. And I think they'll get down to business come the 20th. Before that, of course, you're going to have a few high-intensity training sessions. I think one other thing that people may look at and could be a factor, I don't know how much of a factor it's going to be, most other teams have had a game or two in the Caribbean.
Yep.
India is the team that is going to be going there, having only played in the US and only having played in pitches that haven't seen a lot of runs. So doing that will be another thing. But then again, I go back to the experience. A lot of these players, and because India keeps touring the West Indies quite often now, last 7-8 years, you can see it. Most of these players have come here, played ODI cricket, T20 cricket, Test cricket. So I think that should serve them well moving forward. Would have liked a game or two, but then again, as I say, maybe treat the Afghanistan and the Bangladesh games as a first round game rather than a Super 8 game. I know, I repeat, before I get told that, Afghanistan you're taking lightly, very good team, Bangladesh. I know they've troubled India in the past, but I'm saying relatively more comfortable and may just work in India's favor.
Yeah, I mean, to carry on from Nikhil's point, I mean, the last time India-Afghanistan played, there was a double super over.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In Bengaluru. And
one, yeah.
You just managed to win by the skin of your teeth there. Bangladesh have often troubled India in the Caribbean. I mean, it's, I think, their first encounter ever since the 2007 knockout. Ever since the 2000 first round, I think India and Bangladesh have not clashed in the West Indies. 2010, I think they didn't play a single game against each other.
No.
Yeah, they didn't. So now, 17 years later, in Antigua, India-Bangladesh is in Antigua. It's a rematch. It's a grudge rematch if you have to look at it. So, yes, A1, C1, A1, D2, it's all building up for A1, B2. That's your big game before the semi-final that you're going to have in Providence, Guyana at this point in time.
Final before the final?
Final, before the final, before the final. You have to go through 3 steps. Australia, then the semi-final, then the final. Against whom you're playing, we don't know. It could be either of England, South Africa or the West Indies at this point. So let's see how that pans out. But Nikhil, looking at now, see, we have had 3 games in the US. Do you think that maybe in the bowling composition, looking at the way how the pitches have been playing, maybe the Indian team has got one eye on Barbados, on St. Lucia and also in Antigua. Do you think they'll make a change in the bowling combination heading into Barbados, even if it's not injury or if it's an approach driven thing? Do you think they'll make a change? Kuldeep, the hint is towards Kuldeep Yadav.
See, I mean, let's take, again, all pitches are going to be very different. So just look at St. Lucia, because we saw a game there yesterday, and assuming the pitch is going to be like that, would I be tempted to play Kuldeep? Definitely, because I know he can be the match winner for me. On a pitch like that, where a lot of runs are scored, I would want to play a Kuldeep. But then on pitches where a lot of runs are scored, you tend to go in with more fast bowlers. You know, there is only one phase of the game where you're bowling the spinners, that's the middle phase. You aren't bowling them in the power play, you're not bowling them at the depth, so you're not bowling them at all. So the only phase that you have is a middle over phase. Now, can you afford to have 3 spinners? I doubt it. So the only way you bring in a Kuldeep, and I think that's a possibility, you bring in a Kuldeep for a spinner, either Akshar or Jadeja, leave one of them out, bring Kuldeep and reduce your batting, because it's a batting friendly pitch, so you may not require batting till 8, but you may require a wicket taking spinner. So I would do that. But I don't think that swap between a fast bowler and a spinner is happening. So India not playing 3 spinners. I see it being highly unlikely that, let's say, I'm just looking at St. Lucia, not looking at other pitches. Antigua could be different. Guyana, they do 3 spinners. I don't know. Just looking at St. Lucia, because we saw a game there yesterday. Same kind of conditions. I don't think India is dropping a fast bowler. Because in a pitch like that, where plenty of runs are scored, you need fast bowlers in different stages of the game. And I think with the way Ashdeep, Siraj and Bumrah, they're going to be playing. Now, only 2 spinners. You take a call. Either you go stick with the same thing in which you're compromising a wicket-taking spinner. You go with Jadeja Akshar, but then you're elongating your batting order, or you bring in a Kuldeep, sacrifice a batting order position, and then go with 2 spinner, 3 fast bowler on a pitch like that in St. Lucia. I would go with a latter. I would sacrifice one of the left-arm spinners, sacrifice a bit of my batting, because I know on a good track like that, I may not need 8 batters. So that's how I would go with. We'll have to wait and watch out what the Indian team does.
Yeah, and also there are a lot of questions over Shivam Dube.
Yeah.
Because Shivam Dube, maybe in the West Indies, his style of bowling might be helpful because of the slow, low conditions there in some of the venues. But then if Dube doesn't get a big bowl, I mean, if he doesn't get too many overs under his belt, is there greater utility in playing only as a batter?
No, so I think, see again, the pitches, because we're talking about the pitches, I think Shivam Dube's batting style and pitches in the US just did not gel together. I think that is going to change. Shivam Dube, again, put him on the St. Lucia pitch, again, the pitch that you saw, you could have him play the Stoinis role. And I think he would be able to play the Stoinis role, because those are the kind of pitches that will suit his batting style. These did not. So I think there is a utility for Shivam Dube, but on good track, and you're going to get at least out of the 3 games that you play in Super 8, 2 should be good batting tracks in Barbados and St. Lucia. Again, it's not so much about his bowling that they're looking at, it's more about the explosiveness that he brings with his batting. And I do not see a replacement. I know people are talking about a Sanju Samson for that, but I think even Sanju is a top order batter and has not been a proven performer where they're going to see a Dube kind of a role, right? That Dube kind of a role, the only other player who does it is Rinku, but is out of the squad. So I think with that in mind, you're not seeing Dube go out, and it will have nothing to do with his bowling. I think it's going to have something to do with his batting. I think those runs that he got in the last game kind of would have helped his cause. And then with better pitches, he could then be crucial. If you need that situation, if you're in Australia-like situation, 12 and over needed on a good batting track, he could be that guy who plays that knock. Not too many others who will do that. There will be the others that will get to 130, 140 strike rate, like Travis Head did. But if you need a Stoinis slight 180, 90 strike rate, I think he'll be the guy. And I think that's the reason they've got him into the team. And if they've played him through the tougher phase on pitches that didn't suit him, there's unlikely going to be a situation where they're going to play him in better pitches in the Caribbean.
Yeah, so that is, I think it answers the entire thing. I think the Indian cricket team will not make changes unless if it's an injury.
Yeah.
Or extreme kind of conditions.
Or extreme conditions. Then
When
and
you
only.
think, okay, it's going to turn a lot.
Yeah.
Then you may decide to go in for a lottery and say, okay, fine, we might actually compromise our pace bowling. But I think that's an extreme case.
That is an extreme case. And looking at it, none of the pitches that India are going to face off in the Super 8s have shown that kind of an extreme tendency. Be it Barbados, be it Antigua, and be St. Lucia for that matter. So, yeah, I mean, it's now that period where you have to really start hoping and praying, because this is the stage now where you're building up for the semi-final and the final, when you have to end a 11-year jinx at this point in time. So, if you have to rate this entire leg, Nikhil.
Before my connection goes off. By the way, the one other problem that we're having here, you can't watch the matches because the matches are not on TV.
Okay.
And it's going to be the same in the Caribbean matches. Won't be on TV. Usually they're not on regular TV or free TV that you get, and there are no apps to watch it. I mean, there was an American app, but then from outside downloading it and subscribing wasn't possible. So we've only been following other matches, that the ones that we've not been on the ground on scorecard. That's one thing I'm missing, not getting to see those matches, not getting to see Euro as well.
Yeah.
TV you don't get so many things. Yeah, but my only question was, what if Pakistan were to lose to Ireland today? What happens then?
Well,
Down.
it will be an epic meltdown, but so far they made a good start. 2 wickets in the first over by Shaheen. Yeah. So, yes, they see, but even if they lose, how much lower can they go? That will be tested. That will really be tested. How much lower can they go? Because if you lose to Ireland, okay, they have that. I think the lowest of the low that they suffered was in 2007.
Yes.
I think if Imad Wasim would want to know, 2007, I think he hadn't even started his under-19 career at that time. He started in 2008. He was in the Kohli batch. 7, you lose to West Indies, you lose to Ireland.
You lose your head coach.
And you lose your head coach. And it's a very traumatic time. I think nothing can get lower than that. 6 months later, it's incidental that both India and Pakistan suffered their ultimate of lows in 2007. Only 6 months later, through this format, to get their ultimate of highs. Not in the case of Pakistan, but in the case of India.
And not just that, I mean, if you're looking at it being low, oh my goodness.
Third wicket!
Third wicket in the first over.
Oh my
Ireland
goodness.
2 for 3.
Shaheen Shah Afridi is finally showing one game too late, or one too many games too late, what it is that he's capable of.
Although he did do well against India. I mean, if you look at it, he really troubled them.
Yeah, to be
He's reviewed
fair,
it.
I will not hold the Pakistan Pacers accountable for anything.
They did
that's
their
happened.
bit, yeah. You got India, you got rid of India in
It's the
19
spinners,
overs.
it's the spinners and the batters.
And one pacer in the super over. 7 extras. You can't.
Fielding. Rishabh Pant was dropped multiple
Listen,
times.
I don't have any expectations when it comes to Pakistan and fielding.
Yeah, I mean, to have that expectation itself has been too idealistic.
There's a reason why a lot of their bowlers even now prefer LBs or bolts. Takes the fielding out of the equation completely.
Why didn't you give that out?
Plum.
Oh no, maybe it may be clipping.
Yeah.
Could be
clipping off.
See, you see the middle stump.
That's the leg stump.
Yeah.
That's the off stump. If I'm not
That's
mistaken.
the off stump. That's off stump.
That's not the middle stump.
It is
that's
off.
the off stump.
That's off.
No bat involved. Yeah.
It is off stump. So that's why. Yeah, I mean, it is the lowest of the low if they lose to Ireland.
And also, if they lose to Ireland, all I'm saying is, I'm going to grab some popcorn, a nice beverage of choice, and turn on all the Pakistan YouTube channels of my choice.
Ampo, it's missing. So they're.
I'm just looking at social media, looking at a few reactions from Pakistani journalists.
Yeah.
One of them is saying, "You are celebrating a wicket against Ireland as if you won the World Cup. You are out. So stop this celebration."
I mean, it goes to extremes with them, doesn't it? Some will celebrate as if they won the World Cup. Then the others will be so cynical that they won't even celebrate the wickets. I don't care. Your team is out. No problem. Go out on a high. Play for a little pride. Play for the shirt. Support your team. Not everything has to become a competition to get social media clout.
But Nikhil, I had mentioned 2007 to be the lowest year for Pakistan cricket. Do you think there has been an even lower year if you look at it, maybe where Pakistan cricket was just in the doldrums, from your memory?
Sorry, come again.
we are all saying that if this World Cup, Imad Wasim was saying that we can't go any lower than this. I argued for the fact that Pakistan cricket did go lower in 2007 when they got eliminated by Ireland in the ODI World Cup. In your memory or whatever you have covered, do you think 2007 was the lowest point for Pakistan, or do you think there have been far worse years?
No, that was lower. I tell you why. One, it was a 50-over World Cup where the margins are bigger between, teams. Secondly, I think in those days, associate countries and regular test playing country, the gap was also huge. And then I also feel the team that they carried at that time was a World Cup winning team. Now, as I said, you could argue, are they one of the best teams in the world? Pakistan, not quite. I don't think so. So, yes, their loss to USA was surprising. The loss to India was pretty much expected. India went in as a favorite. So, in terms of an upset, I would say 2007 50 World Cup, a bigger upset than what we've seen here.
Yeah, so I think yes, that was the worst year for me, Pakistan, as far as it's concerned. So, okay, we'll take a super chat. Good morning, gents, from Mr. Shaker, GTN. Now the fun begins away from the treacherous and horrifying park in New York and into the already charted and familiar territories of the Caribbean. All the preparation was for this stage after all. That's what Mr. Shaker is like saying.
With a new DP?
Yeah, but honestly, was it preparation for the Super 8s?
When he says preparation, he means in the sense that the anticipation build-up was for
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Because the group stage, it felt predictable to many. Although you did get a few good results. By and large, I think with the exception of maybe USA making it through, it's been pretty predictable for the most part. Really.
It has been.
Unless, of course, Netherlands do something which not many of us think they can do. And yeah, it was always going to be tight in Group C. New Zealand, Afghanistan, and Siddharth already has his ears covered.
Yeah, I mean that was shambolic. I mean, I think New Zealand, the way how they played, I think they deserve to go out. I mean, you
All
can't.
down to their jersey.
Yeah, losing by 84 runs to Afghanistan, 75 all out, and giving the 19th over to Daryl Mitchell. What were you thinking? Seriously, what were you thinking? So that's the thing. Yeah,
Well, Pakistan are really breathing fire right now.
another wicket gone. Yeah, third wicket. Mohammad Amir has got 4 for 3.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Hey, Island, where have you been?
I know. And it's Paul Sterling.
Paul Sterling.
Oh man.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's how it is at this point in time. And terrible shot, terrible shot. So let's take one more. Vikram Talreja saying, compare 5, 6, 7
Of India, that
of
is.
India with the other teams. You will see a clear difference in ability to score. Dubey versus Stoinis.
And Dubai versus Stoinis, he's laughing at the comparison, saying that you'd probably say Stoinis is better, I think.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. And he said the top order is almost comparable in each of the big teams. You need one more batter in the lower order, and that could be make or break.
Which means that Vikram Talreja is probably expecting Sanju Samson to play.
I wish Rinku Singh could
Possibly.
play.
Okay.
Karthik K says that instead of hiking India versus Pakistan ticket prices, the ICC and BCCI should have had extra groundsmen and covers. Florida Panthers and the Stanley Cup finals, and no one there cares
Yes,
about
now
it.
the Stanley Cup is happening, the ice hockey tournament, that it's one of the oldest trophies in the world.
Yeah,
So-
in fact, in that particular haunt of the woods, USA, Canada, ice hockey definitely one of those, let's say, revered winter sports. And the fact that, as he says, the Panthers are there in the finals, people will not really be getting that much about cricket.
I know.
Probably not. Mayank Madan says that it will be an overachievement, I guess, if India reaches the finals, same like Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League. I don't think they can beat England if they face them in the knockouts. And Sid, we should move on from past records. His words, not mine.
Okay, I mean, it's quite brave, Mayank Madan. We should move on from past records. What is the basis upon which you'll move past those records? Unless you win, right? If you don't win, you're stuck in the past, my friend.
Stuck in reverse.
I mean, you can easily, you may be one of the few fans who can look past November 19th. But another one 130 crore might not be able to look past that. 130 crores might not be able to look past November 19th, unfortunately.
What date are you talking about again?
November 19th. Yeah, has.
I think
8 for 4.
No.
Rizwan getting overexcited. Let's not go back.
He does it always. He does it always. So,
Anshul Oberoi also has an interesting question saying that it looks like Australia is the best team in all departments right now. They've covered all bases. If India beats them in the super race, it will be a great boost and help them enter the semis with much less pressure. You know, Anshul, I would agree with you, but you did hammer Australia
in the league stages in 2023.
Yeah, it didn't really help you in the final.
It didn't.
Did not help in the final.
And again, one more please for all the Indian fans, I'm just praying. We need to have a bad game to analyze what will go wrong in the next game so that we can improve that. Please, for 10 years, you've had bad games and you've not improved.
Can't really have a bad game in the Super 8 because even if you lose one and win
it
the
could be
remaining
down
two,
to NRR.
you could still be, out of contention for the semis.
You can.
Daniel M says that I'm concerned that India will think that playing in a more conservative manner, I'll not use the word he used, is the right approach, even though they can be more aggressive on the better Windies pitches. So they'll play with the old template. Daniel, I take your point, but until we know really how the pitches play, again, it could be like anything. I think it's best to reserve judgment on that right now. That will be more of a hindsight analysis, so to speak.
Let's wait and watch. Let's wait what happens in Barbados. Let's wait what happens in that first game. That first game normally sets the entire ball rolling in that particular sense. So, any other comment? Sharan Vinakota has got the same thing over and over again. So.
Mayank Pradhan asking why are Harman and Shefali not dropped from the Indian team still? Probably because they're two batters who you really
have faced. Shefali again struggled. Harmanpreet again struggled.
Shefali, I think, is one of those players who's absolutely struggled in the ODI format. And, you are, let's say she's contrasting in T20s, but like Surya Kumar Yadav.
Okay, yeah. So Shubham Garg is asking me why you are not able to go past November 19. You're not Indian cricket team fan, right?
Very funny, Shubham.
Very funny, but then boss, November 19th is a day in cricket that many people will never forget. You won't forget it because it was the barring an India-Australia final. What was the final of? A World Cup. So you can't forget a World Cup game. You can't forget 2003 March. When India lost. You can't forget September 2007 because you won the World Cup at that time. You won the World T20. Shubham Garg, can you not go past April 2, 2011? That answers my question. Man, Shaheen is breathing absolute fire.
I think the breeze is giving him some good bit of assistance there.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we guys, as we said, it's funny you mentioned, Mac mentioned the women's game. We'll be joining you live and doing a small discussion on that as well, potentially maybe for this game too. For now though, we've been going on for an hour. So, Jen, shall we?
We shall. So, thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this edition of the Dugout. The next updates that Nikhil will be giving you will be from Barbados.
Hopefully, Barbados, sooner rather than later.
Yep. So from me, Harshit, Sid Gulati and Shane, it is bye-bye.
Call him Gulati, that's fine.
That's okay, we'll call him Sid Gulati.
Sid Gulati, who likes to lose in quizzes on a regular basis. Okay, so...
He was the best counter to Sidway.
When did he ever win to lose another one? Yeah, so
I'm 1-0 down, but then
you're 2-0. We both.
Don't forget the unaired episode.
I have the psychological advantage because I'm more hungrier to win now.
India have also been hungry to win for 10 years.
#no logic.
Blah 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 blah. Okay,
anyway, so we'll see you.
Bye, Nandri, Vanakkam, Shabba Khair.
Your vegetable?
I'm getting there. It's a long outro.
I know you're hungry, but that comes a bit later. Okay, so
I'm hungry for vegetables.
I know. Eat your vegetables and please don't trouble your mother. Okay, and Pakistan doing Pakistan things. 2 reviews burnt.
It burnt both the reviews.
Both reviews burnt. Yeah.
Anyway, bye.
Happy Father's Day.
And happy Father's Day. Yes.
Fathers are
well done, Pawan, who himself didn't remember what it was for initially. Okay, bye bye. Nandri.
Okay, bye bye.